Hey guys, my name is Gabby, welcome back to my channel, and today I'm going to be filming the worst books that I read in 2018. And so I know that this video tends to be a little bit controversial among some people. First off, I wanted to say that this video is not meant to be disrespectful to anybody who enjoys these books or to the authors themselves who wrote these books or to anybody related to these books. This video is not meant to be disrespectful. This is just a video talking about my opinions on certain books that I've read this year, and I am aware of the fact that I tend to have unpopular opinions, usually. I've read 100 books this year so far, so when you read 100 books in a year, there tends to be a few that are 1 stars and not your jam. This video is also the first in a series of videos I do for the end of the year about my worst of the year, most disappointing of the year, most surprising of the year, and best of the year, so you can expect a few other listy videos like this coming up soon. I thought I'd do my worst first because these actually tend to be my most viewed videos. You know, it's crazy. I think people actually enjoy watching people roast books more than they enjoy people praising books. It's a crazy world we live in. Anyways, let's begin the roast, shall we? Yes. Number 10 on my list of worst books of the year is gonna be Two Girls Down by Louisa Luna. I realized about myself that I am not a fan of thrillers that follow from a detective's point of view. This book is about 2 little girls that go missing, and it's supposed to be very emotionally investing, I think, and because it follows from the point of view of this detective, it's completely bland and emotionless, and it just has the same scenes over and over and over again. It's very repetitive. It's like the detective's going and asking all these different people questions about what they saw and what happened, and I think this book could have been a lot better if it followed from a different character's point of view. I just found it to be really irritating and repetitive, and I feel like this could have been a lot better. You know, this one might be more of a situation where it's not really the book, it's just me, because I don't really like detective-based thrillers, and now I know that. The 9th book on my list is Black Hole by Charles Burns, and this is a graphic novel that I read during the Spookathon this year. So this graphic novel is basically about these teenagers who get these creepy STDs from these other teenagers, and then it's just this huge breakout virus of this creepy STD. They're getting all these weird STDs. The only thing I really did like about this book is that some of the images in this book are really creepy and graphic as promised, you know, because this is supposed to be one of the creepiest graphic novels of all time. And it is creepy, but the story, what even is the story of this book? I don't know. It's all about these teenagers just doing drugs and having sex and then doing more drugs and then having more sex and doing more drugs and having more sex. Literally, that's all this book is about. There's no real storyline happening here. There's no real ending here. There's no real beginning here. It's just a glimpse into the lives of these teenagers who are doing drugs and having sex a lot. I don't know, besides the creepy imagery, there's really nothing else going on here, and I couldn't give 2 shits about this story or any of the characters. I don't even know. Right, the 8th book on my list is When Katie Met Cassidy. This is a female-female romance that I was really excited about because female-female romances are hard to come by, I feel like, which is unfortunate. And I was really hoping that this one would be really cute. I mean, the cover's really cute. Oh my god, this story was so cliche. There were so many stereotypes. I feel like this story could have had so much more potential if these characters weren't so cringeworthy. And also, I feel like this main character, Katie Daniels, is so judgmental and obnoxious and annoying, and she's so judgmental about the other lesbians in this book. She walks into the lesbian bar and she actually says, quote unquote, "Plenty of these women looked like women." What the fuck? And then she also says about the lesbians in the bar, she says, "These people are not her people." She was just so shallow and judgmental about these other women in the bar. Yeah, they look like women because they are women. Whoa. I don't know. I just found her character to be really fucking annoying and really rude and judgmental and just... Next, the 7th book on my list is Behind the Bars by Brittany C. Cherry, which is absolutely unfortunate because Brittany C. Cherry is one of my favorite authors, and this book is a romance novel that takes place in New Orleans, which is really cool, and it's part of the reason why I wanted to read this. It follows these 2 teenagers, which was kind of unexpected because almost all of Brittany C. Cherry's books are new adult, so I just assumed that this one would also be new adult, but it's actually kind of half young adult and then half adult, which is whatever, but it's just not what I was expecting. First of all, these 2 young adult characters are obnoxious and immature and annoying. What I don't like about this story is that it was so cliche and there's so many stereotypes in this book. It's so ridiculous. The main character girl is super rich and has Prada bags and is you know, that stereotype, and then the boy is like the bullied kid, the nerd, the one who never expected a girl like her would like him. These characters are so insecure. Like, I don't know how many times I read some version of the line from this guy. Like, I didn't know girls like Jasmine hung out with boys like me. I didn't know you could like a guy like me. Every other page he said something like that, and I'm like, God, like when a character is that insecure and just has to say over and over again, like, I can't believe you would even like someone like a little old me, like, fucking annoying. Not only that, but like the romance was very insta-love, and there were things that happened in this book that were so dramatic, like unnecessarily dramatic. And it just made the whole story feel kind of ridiculous, like it was just so over the top. The sixth book on my list is The Last Black Unicorn by Tiffany Haddish. This was a book I was extremely looking forward to because I've always really liked Tiffany Haddish. I loved her in Girls Trip, and I just think she's a really funny comedian. This book was problematic as hell, unfortunately. She has this chapter about this handicapped man that she dated named Roscoe, and she kind of like mocks his voice in the audiobook, like almost in a way that's like very derogatory and just like not appropriate. And it just felt to me like she didn't really have a lot of respect for the handicapped community. And then also the way that she talks about people who are overweight was also really not tasteful and just kind of inappropriate as well. She made a comment, I don't want to fuck that guy because his titties are bigger than mine. And just a bunch of like really shallow and like superficial comments about making fun of people's looks or like the way they are. Like, I don't know, like I didn't find anything about this book funny, which is really sad because like she is such a great comedian. Like, I don't know why she has to like stoop down to this level. Alright, we're getting into the top 5, so let's let the real roasting begin. Fifth book on my list is going to be The Line Below by Allie Dean. This is a new adult romance that is about these athletes. So the main characters, Shay and Jet, are some of the most bland, forgettable characters I've ever read about, and they have absolutely no chemistry besides, you know, really enjoying dancing up on each other in the club. They start having sex in this book like 50 pages in, like right off the bat. They just have this like instant chemistry, you know? And then the morning after they have sex, he starts bossing her around and like telling her what to do, and she's like, you're so bossy, and he's like, you like it, baby. Ew, no. And then on page 59, she says, he kinda sounds like a caveman, and I can't help it. I kinda like it. Girl, he sounds like a caveman, and he's bossing you around and you kind of like it. And then of course, shortly after they have this casual hookup, one of her previous hookups finds out about her new hookup, and he gets insanely jealous out of nowhere and just like starts trying to force a love triangle into this story, even though you don't give a shit about any of these characters. And then there's all this like unnecessary drama around the girls in his past and the guys in her past. Of course, this main character, as soon as she sees Jet hanging out with another girl, she's like, oh my god, he's gonna cheat on me. Like, she just like immediately gets so insecure and freaks the fuck out. Jet's friend, that's the girl that he's talking to, says, this girl's the best you can do. What the fuck? There's like so much stupid high school drama in this. It's like ridiculous. Like, I don't give a fuck about Shay or Jet or any of these fucking high school drama people. The fourth book on my list is Providence by Caroline Kepnes, which also kind of kills me because this was my most anticipated book of 2018, and Caroline Kepnes is one of my favorite authors as well. The next one is probably maybe my most anticipated on this whole list. Providence by Caroline Kepnes. Oh my god, it sounds so cool. What the fuck is this book? This story is part mystery, part romance, part supernatural, part detective story, and part thriller. Like, you just can't do it all, you know? You can't. Why don't you just stick to one thing and be good at that? So instead of being this really great thriller, which is what I originally thought this book was going into it, I thought it was like a thriller with like a supernatural twist, which is kind of what it's marketed as, but really it's this ridiculous, obnoxious, over-the-top love story about John wanting to be with Chloe, but he can't because he's afraid he's gonna hurt her because like he had this close to death experience, and now anybody that he goes near, he like hurts them. So he can't get near her, but he's like afraid because he wants to be with her, but he doesn't want to hurt her. Let me just say that Chloe is one of the most bland female characters I've ever read about, and all she does the whole book is like think about John and wonder what John's doing, wondering when John's gonna get back, and like, do you have anything that you do that's about you, or like is your whole life just about John. In this book, we follow this detective named Eggs who tries to track down the bearded man, which is John the whole book. We just get these random chapters from Detective Eggs and about his family and his marriage and like all of his life problems, and like, the fuck does this have to do with the story? Like, I don't fucking care about this guy. This book just ended up being a really dramatic romance with a supernatural twist and some thrills, and I didn't care about any of the characters, and the ending was so cliche and stupid. I was just sad because I feel like this book did have a lot of potential because it had some really cool ideas, but oh my god, it dropped the ball on every level. The third book on my worst of the year list is Looker by Laura Sims, and I know technically this is an arc and this book comes out January 15th. Here I am avoiding you the trouble of reading this book next year. Let me just read you this top little thing on the back that is how this book is marketed to you. Razor sharp debut novel about a woman whose obsession with the beautiful actress on her block drives her to the edge. Oh my god, I was so excited to read this because I thought, holy shit, it's like this crazy, creepy stalker story about this girl who becomes obsessed with the actress that lives next door to her. Like, oh my god, I was so excited to read this. It's not about that at all. Like, what is the point of this novel? Is this really a thriller? No, it's not. This is an incredibly boring story that never really goes anywhere. This book is actually about a woman who's dealing with a divorce because she can't conceive children and her husband left her because of that. And then every now and then she kind of like looks at the actress that lives across the street and all of her kids, and she's just kind of jealous of her, and it never really builds to anything or goes anywhere. Very mild stalker story. Like, I would not say drives her to the edge and like you're expecting something sinister to happen in this book, but literally nothing happens. The only reason I ended up finishing this book is because it's really short and because I thought this has got to be going somewhere. Like, at the end it's got to be building towards something epic, and no, it literally doesn't go anywhere. It just like fucking ends and like that's it. You don't get your crazy conclusion. I was like, is this part one or something? Like, what? Where's the rest? So I don't know. Like, the ending is bullshit. I don't really know what the point of this story was. If it's just like a sad story about this woman who her husband left her for a really terrible reason, like, okay, that's not really a thriller though. I don't really understand then what the point of this book is, and I think it's totally mismarketed. We are down to my top two. I'm not gonna lie, it was kind of hard for me to decide which one of these books was the more disappointing one. Like, I really strongly dislike both of these books so much, and they both have the potential to be number one if they were in different years. But I read them both this year, so yay me. So my number two most disappointing book of the year is Fight or Flight by Samantha Young. I know a lot of you probably expected this to be number one, especially after my rant in my last wrap-up video, but no, there was a book that was even more irritating than this one, if you can believe it. This one is a new adult romance about these two extremely privileged, ridiculous, rich characters. The way that these two characters meet in this book is by the main dude cutting her off in line at the airport and like literally hitting her with his bag as he passes her to get the last first class ticket for this airplane, right? Both of these characters have to fly in first class or else they're gonna lose their goddamn privileged minds. Because this is a romance novel, the flight gets cancelled and then they both get moved to a different flight and they both get seated right next to each other. I cannot even believe some of the things that happen on this flight. Like, this is not romantic, and this is not cute, and this is not okay. She literally gets up to go to the bathroom, and when she tries to get back into the seat, he like stops her with his leg just so he can like stare at her ass. Like, what the fuck is that shit? And then he pretty much basically just asks her if she wants to sleep with him on the airplane, which is like fucking gross and annoying. The funniest thing to me about this book is that this guy has a Scottish accent in this book, and you can just really tell that this author has a thing for Scottish dudes. She literally changes so many of his dialogue words to look like how a Scottish accent pronounces those words. So a ton of things are misspelled in this book, and at first I was like trying to figure it all out, and then I realized like, oh, he's saying to, like T-O, and she spells it T-A-E, just so you get his Scottish accent voice in your head, I guess. The amount of times that this main character refers to this dude as a Viking is ridiculous. Every time she describes him, she's like, Viking tallness and Viking shoulders, and he looks like a guy off of the show Vikings. Like, oh my god, we get it. You clearly based this dude character off of one of the characters in Vikings or some shit, right? It was just so cheesy. And then of course, by the time they're having sex on page 60, like right off the bat, he says, I'm going to ruin you. Like that's his line to her right before they have sex. Like, how romantic. The lines of consent are also pretty blurry in this book because of how much of a controlling douchebag he is. God, I've just, ugh. And like she just kept talking about how her rent at her apartment is $4,000 a month and she's in debt because of her designer shoes, but her clients won't take her seriously unless she has designer clothes and designer shoes, and oh my god, poor me. I really didn't like it. And my number one worst book that I read in 2018, that is Tell Me Lies by Carola Lovering. This is a story about this girl named Lucy who is living in New York and then she goes to California to go to college. This is supposed to be like a contemporary fiction story that deals with some romantic themes and stuff. My main issue with this book is Steven, her love interest character. I'm not sure if I've ever been more disgusted with a male character. Yeah, like Lucy isn't my favorite character either, but Steven makes me want to slam my fucking head into a wall. This author probably didn't intend for us to like Steven. Like, I am fully aware of that, but that doesn't mean I'm gonna enjoy this book. And what is the purpose of this book then if I hate Steven so much? Like, am I supposed to hate him? I don't know, but I'm fucking annoyed either way. Steven is this fucking annoying douchebag who pressures Lucy into dating him even though she says no many times. We get so many scenes of him fucking multiple women even though he's dating Lucy. Like, he wants to be with his ex, Diana, and then he wants to casually be with this girl, Nicole, who's his fling, and then Lucy is his girlfriend, and he just thinks he can have all three. And then he says he doesn't understand people who read fiction because he's a non-fiction guy. Ooh, wow, so impressed. For a lot of this book, he's trying to convince Lucy to open up to him, like to tell him more about her life and stuff, and as soon as she starts opening up to him, he comments about how he can't stop staring at her tits because they're just so amazing and he can't even concentrate on what she's saying because her fucking tits. Like, really? Really? He tells Lucy to get on birth control because he hates wearing condoms so much. And then he has this quote as well that says, girls are generally psychotic. Like, yeah, honey, you're not doing so hot either. Another thing that makes his character absolutely frustrating is that he wants to get back with his ex Diana throughout this whole book. He's just waiting for her and loving her and just wanting to be with her, even though he's with Lucy, but like he wants to get back together with his ex. And then when they finally do get together, like him and Diana, he says, when you get what you want, it almost automatically decreases in value. Are you fucking kidding me? What a fucking asshole, man. I had steam coming out of my ears reading from this douchebag's point of view. And then Lucy isn't much better. Like, she's really not that much better to read about because all she cares about is doing very superficial things. Like, all she talks about is how she needs to achieve a thigh gap and how she wants to try cocaine and like different drugs while she's in college. She wants to live her college life. She doesn't want to date a guy that looks a certain way because she's really fucking judgmental and hypocritical and just ugh. Like, I fully understand that this author probably intended for us to dislike these characters because like I don't know how anybody could like these characters. But then it's like, I ask myself, then what the fuck is the point of this book then? If I'm supposed to dislike these characters, what am I supposed to be feeling? And like, why would I want to feel this way, this irritated while I'm reading a book? I can handle unlikable characters in a thriller, or if there's some kind of purpose to move the story along, but like, characters this unlikable in a contemporary story just doesn't work for me, okay? It just doesn't. Those are my worst books of the year. If you've read any of the books on this list, then let me know your thoughts and let me know if you agree with me or if you think I'm being like way too judgmental or whatever your thoughts are. Like, let me know. And whatever your worst books of the year have been, also let me know because I'm really curious to see what people are very strongly disliking. You know, I understand that everyone has different opinions, so I'm perfectly okay if you liked any of these books, like, you do you. But I personally just couldn't fucking stand any of them. So you can soon look forward to a bunch of other end of the year list videos coming at you soon. So thank you guys so much for watching as always, and I will see you guys next time.